Hey everyone, it's Jen Logis with One Degree Capital. As we're continuing to provide you with insights and answers to your critical questions surrounding the financial needs during this COVID-19 crisis, a key question keeps coming up regarding government contractors and their ability to qualify for the new Payroll Protection Program. We contacted our friends at Sheppard, Mullin, Richter, and Hampton for guidance. Our friend Ryan Roberts, who's partner at Sheppard, Mullin, and he's a government contracting lawyer, was gracious enough to agree to discuss this matter with us this morning. Ryan, thank you for being here. I know usually when you are involved with government contracting issues, it's usually at the end when there's a big blow up problem. So thank you for being on with us this morning and helping us to avoid having any issues with this.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's nice to be involved on the front end.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, okay, so for those who've been following our videos, they know we like to kind of keep it straight and to the point. So let's get right to the issue that's at hand. So Ryan, within the government contracting sector, there is growing concern about the ability for contractors to apply and qualify for the Payroll Protection Program. This is the one where they've got you get some money to cover your payroll for the next couple of months, and that portion of the loan could be forgiven. So it's very attractive. A lot of people want it, including government contractors. There's an issue arising because specifically there's questions about the requirement that these government contractors must certify that the current economic uncertainty makes this loan request necessary to support their ongoing operations. Now, this is creating a problem and a question for two reasons. Number one, some contractors are currently receiving payments on their contracts, but they're uncertain about whether those will continue. So they do have that uncertainty level, but they're still getting paid right now. The other concern is that there's already this provision, and maybe you can shed a little more light on it, this provision in the CARES Act that allows government contractors to continue to be paid on their contracts if they are not allowed to work. I think it's section 3610. So I realize that you can't give specific legal advice on a webinar, but I do want to know, can you give government contractors who are listening to this, can you give some general guidance on what these contractors need to be thinking about as they make their decision as to whether or not they qualify and should apply for this payroll protection program?
Yeah, sure. So there's a lot of information coming out fast and furious, and the agencies are still churning out guidance on all of these programs. So yeah. PPP and 3610, I think DOD just put out a memo on 3610 2 days ago that says, we'll tell you later what we're going to do with it. So big caveat.
And that's so helpful.
Right. Big caveat that a lot of the details here still need to be worked out at the agency level, but maybe it'd be helpful just to do 30-second overview of 3610 and what it provides for, because there are a number of programs out there and they each kind of cover a little bit of a different lane in stimulus or relief depending on the circumstances. So 3610 applies specifically to federal service contractors whose employees cannot perform their duties because their facility has been closed, whether that's a contractor facility or a government facility, and they can't perform their job duties via telework. So they have to be on site to do whatever it is that they do day in and day out. So if you meet those requirements, then for those service employees, you can request reimbursement to keep them in a, quote, ready state up to an average of 40 hours per week during the course of this pandemic. So the important phrase there is reimbursement of this time, right? So this isn't something that's going to happen as people are coming to work or not coming to work 40 hours a week. This is something that's going to happen down the road. And the statute provides that any reimbursement is up to the discretion of the contracting officer. So there are no guarantees here. So even with this Section 3610 reimbursement authority in place, there really is no certainty as to what payouts contractors will receive, even if their employees can't show up for work. So as it relates to the PPP loan program, if you have to certify as to an existing financial uncertainty about whether or not your folks can perform and you can pay them, even the subsistence of this 3610 program shouldn't impact that certification. Even if it does, say you apply for the loan now and down the road you end up submitting a request for equitable adjustment to get some reimbursement under 3610, your reimbursement under 3610 will be offset by any other funds, credits given under the various COVID-related statutes, including CARES. So any reimbursement you're going to get will be offset by any loan forgiveness. So in terms of whether or not you should apply for the PPP program, just keep in mind that any other reimbursement you're going to receive under 3610 is discretionary and may not come for quite a while.
So what you're saying, even though there's this provision in there, there was no provision made as to the timing of it. So what you're saying is, if I'm hearing you correctly, there could be a huge gap. And so there is still, even with this clause in there, there is still that uncertainty as far as when you would get paid. So, and you could conceivably take this loan now, if you get money in the future, have it applied towards that. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, it's going to depend case by case, circumstances by circumstances. But I could see a situation playing out where a contractor applies for this loan to pay payroll over the next 8 weeks. And then down the road, if they do qualify for the 3610 reimbursement, submitting that request for equitable adjustment, say July, August, September, whenever we turn the corner on this thing, and then having that REA offset by any loan amounts that have been forgiven.
Okay. Okay. Any other concerns with government contractors taking these payroll protection program loans? Are there other things that they need to be thinking about?
So our general guidance for any of these programs, whether it's PPP, 3610, or just general excusable delays that you're going to file claims for with your contracting officer, documentation here is key. Document any closures, document how many people can't show up to work, whether it's because of a site closure or a true sickness. So you've had, unfortunately, the epidemic spread within your facility. All of these things need to be documented. And for certain of the provisions, so for example, the excusable delay provision, you have to show that you made mitigation efforts to reduce the impact of the epidemic on your workforce. So if you're having other folks work overtime, or if you're finding different sources of supply, all of that stuff's going to be critical down the road once we get into the claims process, and it's up to your CO whether or not they're going to make the discretionary grant of an REA or a reimbursement. So our general guidance, document everything to the best of your ability, tie any impact you're seeing back to the virus itself and how it's impacted your workforce. That documentation is going to be critical, whether it's seeking forgiveness under the PPP program, reimbursement under 3610, or a general excusable delay claim with your contracting officer.
Gotcha. Great stuff. And is there any other resources or that you can point government contractors to if they have some other questions about this?
Yeah, absolutely. So our practice group at Sheppard Mullin put together a government contractors COVID survival guide. So I'll send that over, and I think if you have the ability to post that with the video, that may help answer some of these questions. So we go through a variety of topics, including the excusable delay process, cybersecurity concerns, employment-related concerns. So we try to hit on a number of issues that are relevant to government contractors, understanding this is a live event and this guidance is changing day to day, but it's still a helpful starting point, I think, for contractors with questions.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you so much for having direct answers to our direct questions. That's always helpful. Ryan Roberts from Sheppard Mullin, thank you so much. If you're watching this video, do look below the video on our blog site. We will post the documents that Ryan was talking about. Hopefully that survival guide will help you survive all of this. In the meantime, of course, stay well and God bless.